we are back, and we are going to discuss pregnancy. Yay!
Yay!
Ignore my snuggie.
Sorry. Serious about the snuggie.
Yeah. So when people think pregnancy, I believe they automatically think happiness and all that great stuff. However, for us,
Wasn't quite our journey.
that was not our journey at all. And
Not even a
so,
little bit.
we've decided that we are going to tell our pregnancy journey simply because it's really personal, one, and I'm not really personal type,
No.
but I do believe we have to share our testimony, and so this is us doing so.
Yeah. What she said.
You're not gonna say nothing?
No, I'm gonna let you tell it. I'm gonna just. I'm color commentating today. So, see, I got my color on.
We've been married almost 2 years, and like, I don't know, what is it, like 20 days or so. It'll be 2 years. And so we started our pregnancy journey 2 months after we got married. It's our first go round. And it came to an abrupt halt 3 days later. As quickly as we found out we lost our first, and that was difficult. Chime in if you want.
I was about to. I was just making sure.
Okay,
I didn't
yeah.
want to interrupt you. Yeah, like it was crazy. It was a crazy time. There was a lot going on. It was difficult. For those of you who don't know or may have forgotten, we are a blended family. So a baby was and is definitely something that definitely solidifies the bond, the legacy of the relationship, what the baby is birthed out of. So it solidifies the legacy. So we were really excited about that, and to go through that loss was definitely tough. It was definitely harsh for me, especially being like a first time father for real from scratch. You know, not picking up or jumping in the middle of the story, like being able to do from start to finish. So it was a tough time for both of us going through that.
Yeah.
So we got married in 2017. That was the first one. Now we're in
Right.
January 2018.
So around January 2018, miscarriage number 2. But I think we knew for about a week and a half, maybe. Maybe. I don't even know if it made it to 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was probably about a week and a half. Yeah.
So the first loss was, we knew for like 3 days before we lost. And then the second time was about a week and a half. For me personally, at this point, after having 3 successful pregnancies, the first one really hurt. The second one made me question if it was my age, because we have said that there's an age gap, and so I'm the older. And it made me question if I was too old, if I waited too long. And so it started playing on my emotions as far as that was concerned.
For me, those of you who know me personally, I'm very protective of the people who I rock with, who I call family, I call friend, whatever. So for my wife to go through that process and not really knowing as much as you think you know, and because as much as there's a physical loss, there's a whole bunch of mental stuff that's tied to that as well. And a lot of times we discredit that because we're conditioned that way. But it was tough, man, like, because, you're like, okay, cool. We had kind of settled our minds a little bit around what happened with the first one. So it was easier to wrap our brains around because there were some other stresses and some outside sources. So that kind of made that one, as much as it was devastating, I think it kind of made it, maybe, I don't know if it didn't make it better, but it was like a softer blow, if that makes any sense. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. It was just kind of like there was a reason, maybe. There was something that maybe wasn't us. It was just the situation or whatever. So for this situation, the second one to happen, I think for me was just kind of like knowing my wife feeling a certain type of way about herself. For me, like not knowing how to properly process it, because yes, it's happening to me, but it's not happening to me. So it's a weird space to even be in as the male, the husband, the father. Like, it's a weird place because it's like I don't really know what that feels like, but I have feelings, but I'm not really sure what to do with those feelings. So it was really kind of a, for me, more of like a weird kind of combination space to be in.
So then fast forward a couple more months. I'm missing one because
California.
No, that was number 4.
What was that?
Because then there was a
no.
gap, so I don't know where number 3 was. Yeah.
It was
Well,
here.
maybe.
It was right before. It was.
Well, then maybe
was one
January
more.
was before January. There was one between when we first.
Yeah, the first
January.
one. Yeah, it was when we. It was.
Oh, it was. There was 2. There's 2 in Memphis.
Yeah,
Was
that's
there
all.
not? Yes,
Yeah,
there was 2
it
in
was
Memphis.
2.
Okay,
'Cause it was-
rewind. So there's 2 in Memphis. So, because the second one we actually got to the doctor, and it was 2 weeks later.
Right.
So I'm thinking January, and it really wasn't. It was
Right, because the
actually-
first time we went to the ER, the second
Yeah.
time we went to the actual
It was
doctor.
actually absolutely. Okay. So either way, it was still about the same. 2 weeks. So then at this point, we were really questioning if it was something we really wanted to continue
Right.
to do, because the emotional and physical strain of it all, and because of my autoimmune issues already, my body already goes through a whole lot. So to have to purge a pregnancy on top of what's going on autoimmune wise, it was a lot. So
Yeah, most definitely.
but we did. We tried again. I think at this point we were more. I think that's when it got to be like, okay, let's really plan it. Like, let's really think about when it's going to happen and look at ovulation and all that stuff and whatnot. So as much as we were into it the first time, it wasn't like we planned it. It was just like,
because we
got
didn't
pregnant.
want to be those people that are like, okay, this is the time, we got to go right now. Like, we didn't want it to be like that. We still wanted it to be, even though the baby would have been conceived out of love, but it's
We didn't want to be weird about it.
we didn't want to be weird. We didn't want to make that like another thing that we got to do, like taking out the trash, or we didn't want it to become a chore, because that's you in that intimate moment with your spouse, you trying to make sure that it's like that is what it is.
Having losses makes it
And-
a chore,
yeah.
because you're like, okay, we have to make sure, like, you plan it. And not to say everybody that plans it goes through this, but when you've had losses, it's like, it's more pressure.
Yeah,
That's
and
pretty much
the
all it
anxiety
is.
levels are way
Right.
higher.
So fast forward, I don't really know the timeline. So number 3 happens, and we're here. I think at that point, that sent me into a bit of depression. I'm pretty sure I can honestly say that.
Yeah, it was.
Which in itself is a lot, because you're dealing with another loss, and then you're dealing with depression on top of life and whatever else may be
It's
going
like that has
on.
nothing to do with that.
So yeah, number 3, I really so bad that it's uneventful that I cannot remember number 3, but there was a number 3.
Yep.
So then fast forward to number 4.
Well,
Number 4 was actually over our anniversary trip
yep.
to California last year. I was actually going through the process as we were on our trip.
On our trip.
Which
was tough, because what you guys, like, so we made a video during that time.
I know.
No, I'm
Oh.
saying, no,
I was
that's what I'm
proud
saying.
of it.
Yeah, so as we were making the video about our trip, we were also had found out over the course of that weekend that we had our 4th loss.
Right.
So,
which was devastating in
yeah.
itself, because that's the furthest that we had gotten at that point.
yep. Yeah, so we didn't even talk about that part of it.
Yeah, no, I don't
Yeah.
know. We'd gotten,
So the more it kept happening, the further along we
Right.
were. So we started, it was like a few days, then it was a week and a half, and then the third one was like maybe like 2 or 3 weeks.
I don't remember that one.
And then the 4th one we had gotten to about 6 like 6 weeks. We were pretty close to like
Yeah, we were
getting
probably about
out.
6 weeks.
Yeah, we were not far from getting out of the first trimester, like halfway through the first trimester.
And at this point, we had gone to my doctor, talked to her about the stuff, and she was like, okay, this is what could be going on. Like, so we were all on the same page, understanding what could cause the miscarriages. And her whole thing was, let's try to figure out why it's happening. And so I think that her logic was, there's no real way to keep it from happening. The only thing we can do is once it happens, try to figure out why it happened. And so she, at that time, before number 4, she was like, I don't mean to tell you this, but we've got to treat it like kind of like a science experiment where you don't get as emotionally attached because it may not stay.
Which is a crazy concept, because this thing of becoming parents and bringing forth new life, which is supposed to be beautiful, it's supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be exciting, and you gotta treat it like it's work, like it's you doing homework.
You have to detach yourself.
You gotta detach yourself from all of those feelings and all of those emotions and the natural responses that you have. You gotta shut them down, because there's this high probability in our minds, because that's what the anxiety is giving, this high probability that this ain't gonna work.
Right.
So you gotta prepare with the end in mind in such a negative way. That in itself is taxing. So as watching your spouse change as you do through pregnancy, like, and feel all the effects of it, and to go through that journey, like, of, okay, cool, this is what's supposed to be happening, this is what's supposed to be happening, but then, like, the excitement of all these new things in the back of your mind, or really in the forebrain, it's like, okay, that's cool, but you can't go too deep into that. Oh, that's cool, but, so it made it really, really tough and difficult to just even process on a day-to-day basis.
It was hard. And honestly, we don't have too many hiccups in our relationship. That most definitely caused the strain.
Yeah,
we
for sure.
had probably one of our worst hiccups after we lost the 4th.
Yeah.
And I believe that it was solely because of just the emotional toll that it was taking on our body and my body and him emotionally.
No, that's I pay for it.
So I think that that's something else that people don't think about, is not only are you going through the emotional strain, but you're going through what it causes on your relationship as well. And so at this point, I think I was done. I think that was...
No, we talked about, no, we were done. No, we had a conversation. Yeah, we ain't doing this no more.
Because, of course, the more you go, the more you have to expel.
Yep.
And so it just increases with the pain and the stress behind the loss. And it's so much more, because then it's more mental, because it's like, oh, it's been a longer period of time. And as much as you try to disconnect, it's still a part of your body. So you really can't do that. So we're like, we're done. Like, it is what it is. I mean, he was like, we have 2 great boys.
Yep.
And he was like, I'm good. Like,
yeah.
I'm
good.
Because
the biggest thing is, like, some people may say it's weird, but I was just kind of like, I was in love with her and everything that came with her. I was one of those people where I was like, I was never getting married. I was never going to have kids. I was cool with that. And she literally came through and wrecked all of that, which I'm so grateful for. And so for me, in order to process, I was like, look, I didn't marry you for you to give me children. Like, that was a real conversation that I had to have, because what I was seeing was the toll it was taking. And it was so crazy. Like we said earlier, in addition to all the other stuff that was going on, that life is just happening. This is such a major thing that is driving a lot of the negative thought patterns and the shutting down and the disconnect. And so it's like, look, this isn't worth it, because I used to hear, I'm sure you all too have heard of people like getting divorced because they couldn't have kids. And I didn't want this to be something that I lost my marriage over, because it was getting like that deep and that serious. You know what I mean? So just for the sake of our sanity, because we had put so much into it and given so much to it, it was like, nah, we're not doing that. Like, that's a wrap. Like,
right.
We can't do that.
Yeah.
So
then.
Well, before that, so in the midst of all that, we're talking, and we're just kind of really trying to get back to us we decided to do a goals paper.
Oh yeah.
So basically, have this piece of paper in our
It's
bedroom.
pretty much a vision board.
It's a
but
vision
instead
board,
of
but pictures we wrote it. So
we wrote what we wanted.
we had written all these different things that we were praying about, asking God for, just things we were working on as individuals. And
this didn't happen right after.
No, this was like some months after.
After, yeah.
So we had written a bunch of things on there, and one of those things was for us to have a successful pregnancy.
Well, it didn't even start that way.
Well,
I just wrote Nugget.
Yes.
That was in the middle of the board. It just said
Nugget.
Like literally.
So we giving them a lot of good stuff.
Well, I mean, everybody. It
Nugget.
just said Nugget.
It said Nugget, right?
And I knew what that meant. He knew what that meant. But if people, because we have people over the house all the time, it wasn't something that everybody needed to know. So Nugget was just kind of our way to say that's what
that's what we were talking about. So so that happens. So mind you, we got the board up and we're looking at this and we're seeing it every day. But we're not, at this point we're done, but we're just like actively just not trying. Like we're not putting any effort.
Remember we had that one that was unofficial that we both kind of knew.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the shadow joint.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Before he gets to this point, there was a number 5. So we officially had 4 because we went to the doctor and we knew. There was one that we just knew. We knew without a shadow of a doubt that we miscarried because at this point
we're kind of experts. Like at this point,
I mean, it's so sad to be pros at miscarrying, but we just kind of both had a conversation. We're like, yeah, we just lost one, and it was like, okay, and at that point, I was just like, I had nothing left to give. I was pretty done. And then fast forward, after we went through all that and we prayed about it, and something clicked for him because I remember him saying it was different.
Leah.
It was Leah.
It was
Leah.
It was Leah.
So something clicked. One of our friends' babies, and I'll let him tell this, but this is when we said, okay, we're going to go ahead and try and see what happens. And if it doesn't happen, then it is what it is. Like at this point, this was like, all right, we're going to try one more time and that's it. Because in my brain, I was like, I'm getting older. Micah's about to be 11.
She was like, no. What she left off was, I'm getting older by the minute. Because that's how it was feeling. Like it was intense. Like
it was. Because I mean, as a woman,
intense.
you already are told that after a certain age, it's already hard. And then they say, you know, you're high risk after 35. And so anything over that, but God put people in my life that I saw that actually had successful pregnancies after 40. So I have had people that I know for the past couple of years that have had successful pregnancies with no problems. And they said it's been the best pregnancy. So I kept that in the back of my head all the time because I was like, okay, it's clear. Like, I know it's possible, but it just may not be possible for me. You know, maybe I've done what I've done and, you know, got the kids out and I'm done. So there's 3 and done. So he had a great experience with a beautiful baby girl.
Yeah, so our great friends Ty and Tess, they have a beautiful baby girl, Leah, and Leah is such the funniest little character. I love her so much. She is super moody, so she really wasn't like messing with everybody, which you know most good babies do. And
You did really go out.
one day we were at church and I took her and she like came to me. It was like the craziest thing. And we were just walking and I just had her and you know holding her, talking to her. She was just chilling, laughing with me, smiling at me, all of that. And it was at that point that it was just kind of like I felt like it was a divine intervention. And God was just like, "Yep, nope, yeah, this needs to happen." And He gave me like it was just like a comforting feeling. Like, and I told my wife, I was like, "Yo, I want to have one. I'm ready."
Yeah, it was almost like because before he was like, yeah, sure, but it was different after this time because he actually was like, no, like I really, really want one. Mm-hmm. And so the pressure of that is already enough. Let's just go ahead and put that out there. And after, 5 losses, he's like, yep, nope, but guess what? Now I really want one. Not to say he didn't want one before.
Yeah, but it was just different.
It changed everything. So we actively tried September, October. Nothing took. It was over. So I was like, all right, well, whatever. Like, it's about to be a new year. I'm done. I'm about to turn another age. I'm finished. Like, I'm done trying. And so October, November, nothing.
Or are you?
And
so here's the crazy thing. So December is always a crazy month in our house because there's my wife's birthday, there's my birthday, there's Christmas, and then New Year's. So it's always a crazy month. And it's typically a blur because there's a lot of festivities going on. So
we had a whole lot of fun in December.
We had a whole lot of fun.
But mind you, we were off of it. Like,
we were like, look, this is our month.
Whatever.
We about to turn up. Mind you.
All of December, I kept telling everybody I was going to stop drinking in January sometime so that I could.
Because we were fully sold out to like really trying to make the baby.
I was
so
like,
we were
it hasn't worked, so I'm going to change my eating habits. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to stop doing all this stuff and prepare my body so that I can get pregnant sometime in 2019.
But here's the kicker. Before you say anything, people kept asking, so when's the date? When are you going to start? I don't know, sometime in January.
Yeah, I kept pushing it back because I was like, well, after Cottrell comes home, and then I was like, well, after this. And so everybody's like, well, when? I don't know, like sometime in January. Like, as long as it's January, I mean, I've done what my goal was. And so,
take a 2-week break.
Right, we're going to take a 2-week break from
That's
December.
KK, by the way. She's our favorite. You know KK.
So, we had a party, and it was a long night. And then New Year's Eve was that morning, and it was just like, take a test. But it wasn't because I was late. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, it was my period. I just woke up and it was like, take a test. And I was like, oh, let me just take a test. And I took a test and I left it in the bathroom. And he got up like 30 minutes later and went in the bathroom and came back out and said nothing. Right. So I was like, I need you to go back in the bathroom. And
I'm mad. For what? Why? What? Look, no, I'll do it later. I'm done. I'm sleepy. And I'm done. No, go back in the bathroom. You ain't see nothing. No, because my eyes was closed.
Right.
My eyes shut. Didn't see a thing.
Long story short, he goes back in the bathroom and sees it. At this point, it was like, oh shit, we're pregnant. Yeah, we're pregnant. But even in that, there's no excitement because we've already had 5 losses. So it's like, oh shit.
Well, we're on that train
again.
Pregnant.
Didn't plan this one. Had no idea. So, fast forward to a couple days later, we talked about it and we were like, okay, so we're in this new season, and if we're going to expect something different, we have to do something different. So, before most people don't know we had 5 losses. So, most people don't know we had 1.
Yeah,
most people
don't know.
may know we had 1, but don't know about the others.
Yeah, but the majority don't know.
So
they don't know how deep that rabbit hole goes.
Right. So let's put it in perspective. 5 losses in about a year and a half.
Yep.
That's a lot. So this time we were just like, But then it was like, no. If we expect God to see us through this, we have to share. We have to tell, because I'm the type of person. You wouldn't know I was pregnant until you saw it. And I avoid people like the plague. So a lot of people would not know unless I post on social media. Right. Hard. So I could really go a whole pregnancy and nobody know that I'm pregnant until you see a whole child. That's just how I live my life. And so we decided we weren't going to do that. And so we started telling our family, our close family, and just let them know that we don't really know what's going to happen. But we do know we're not supposed to keep it a secret this time. And in God's own funny way, I started showing as soon as we started telling people, which, is not crazy for a 4th child. So I couldn't keep the secret even if I wanted to, which was God moving me from my place of comfort and making me be out in the open with something that I thought was very private and I didn't feel like was anybody else's business.
All right, so we're fast forwarding from that to now being knee deep into the pregnancy. We're way past the timelines. We're way past the 6 weeks.
Right. We're in our second trimester.
We're in the second trimester. See, that's what.
Well,
that's
I just
what
thought
I was
you
looking.
were gonna be specific.
Yeah, but no, that's what I was really looking for, but I couldn't find the word.
There's
But that's
a
why
lot of weeks in the second trimester. Pick one.
Boom. So yeah.
Done.
So yeah. So it's been an interesting journey.
Yeah, we have struggled though.
Oh yeah.
And so the whole purpose of this video is to share that, one, you got to understand that everything is for a purpose, because I don't know that I would have been able to mentally handle what I'm going through now had we not gone through the losses. And even though we went through all that, as difficult as we had some struggles, it strengthened our relationship, and it caused us to be where we are. So at this point, we deal with each other differently in a better way.
And the crazy part about it is, you know, when we first, from the beginning, we said we were gonna try to conceive, we did not include God in that decision at all.
Right.
And so the more we kept trying to do things our way, He was taking us through a lot.
He was like, "I'll give you what you asked for."
Yep, but you're gonna have to go through some stuff, and it was literally Him preparing us through what felt like at the time like the lowest of the lows, or the bottom of the bottoms,
right,
in relationships, but it was all to grow us, strengthen us, prepare us to where like we're where we are now, because I don't think that anything else would have matured us in a way like that, even in dealing with, you know, the January situation.
Yeah.
So,
it also taught us how to pray, because of course we were praying to get pregnant, and we were getting pregnant.
Yeah.
That wasn't the issue. And so we started changing. When we started praying this time, it was different. It wasn't to be pregnant. Like we prayed for the longevity of our child's life.
Yeah.
All the way through adulthood.
Yep.
So it changed just how we deal with each other, how we speak to God, everything.
Yep.
Now, for my perspective, is being the woman who's dealt with a lot of loss, it's difficult to want to continue to go through it. However, my story is we've had 5 losses, and now we're in a successful pregnancy, and we're in the second trimester, and I still have moments where I'm not comfortable, where I'm not going to say I question if it's going to be okay, but I'm not so quick to jump. Like, even down to doing the registry, that was one of the hardest things that we had to do, because it was like, okay, we've got to actually acknowledge that I'm pregnant and we're about to have a child. And it was something for both of us to kind of deal with. And thanks to the help of KK and Tess, we were able to go do it without it even being a mental thing. But had we done it on our own, it would have been...
It would have been. We might not have been able to do it.
Right, because we talked about it and we didn't want to.
Yeah, like we even down to just like going to casually look at stuff and think like, ooh, I think this is what I want. Even though it's a great price, like it's on sale at a like unbelievable price. It's like, no, I don't want to do it. I'm cool.
Yeah. So the fear, excuse me, I won't say the fear.
The
anxiety behind it all is still there. What I've had to do was learn to give my anxiety and my fears to God every day, because it's a daily thing. So today, you know, when I wake up, okay, God, I give you my fears, so that I don't go through the process of wondering if Nugget is going to be okay, if we're going to have a successful pregnancy. I had to start doing that every day, because I was being attacked, like emotionally, mentally, in my sleep, and I would have thoughts, and that in itself can cause stress and cause you to miscarry. So really, my advice to anyone who has struggled with it and questioning if they want to go through it, it's something most definitely you need to discuss with your spouse or significant other. However, it's possible, and the anxiety does not go away. Your fear may not go away. You may be overly cautious, because we were super cautious, and we still are, because it's a different pregnancy. I won't say it's difficult, but it's different for me. So there's a lot of things that I really can't do, which causes anxiety in itself. But just, I feel like a lot of it is really just trusting God in the process. And for me, the reason we're even doing this is because I realize that most of the things that we go through as a couple, is not for us. It's for somebody else. And so I've been avoiding making this video. One, because it's really personal, and I don't like to share my life with people.
Except for me, I made the cut. I don't know about you.
I
but
share
made
with a
it.
couple people,
Yeah.
but on this platform, like something so private as 5 miscarriages is pretty major. But I do understand, though, as God is working through me and with me, that I have to share my experiences so that I can go to where I need to go as far as my next level, and I can help somebody else go through that as well. So that's really just the purpose of this, to say that it looks all pretty on the outside, and you know, we're about to hit 2 years, and ideally people are like, oh, you guys got married, you're about to have a baby. But the struggle that we went through just to get to where we are now is unbelievable, but it was worth it.
Yeah. What I would say, because as men, you know, we're always kind of weird, a little bit about when it comes to the lady stuff and the babies and all of that.
Not the lady stuff.
Yeah, you know.
I got you.
So, but what I would say, man, the biggest thing for dealing with it, because I know my thing was, well, how do I make her okay? How do I give her what she needs to deal or to make it to that next moment or that next day or whatever? But then at the same time, like, I can't neglect how I feel, you know what I mean? And so just understanding, like, you got to be able to deal with your emotions or share them and express them, because a lot of times we do take that mentality of, well, I'm cool or whatever, I'm just making sure she good, not understanding that it's affecting you too, the fact that you're holding on to whatever it is you may be holding on to. I know one of the biggest things was just learning how sometimes nothing is the best thing you can do. Because if you're anything like me, like, I always want to make sure she's good. Like even just down to like whatever, even if I don't feel like it or whatever, I just always want to make sure she's good in life, period. And so if you have that same type of mentality, then you feel that same way about your significant other. And so there's some points in it where there's nothing you can do. Like, you'll never be able to relate to the type of physical pain and uncomfortability. So there's nothing that you can do but just be there sometimes. Just them knowing, I think, that I'm available, and if there was something that could be done, I'd be the first one to try to do it. I think a lot of times that's all you can really do. And that's okay. It doesn't make you less than. It doesn't make you inadequate. It's just that's just a real space. And then too, just like how you feel, like praying to God about it, He'll give you clearance on how to move and just how to be what she needs. I think that's one of the biggest things is, like, you know, they always talk about women's intuition and stuff like that or whatever. But I think as men, like, everything has a place. So that logic that you have, or you have that, like, dang, you know what? I'm talking to God. God's showing me some stuff too. So now I know how to be what she needs before she even realizes that she needs it. And a lot of that just comes from being in tune, talking to God, and then, you know, knowing when to like press and when to not press.
And seek counseling if you need it.
Yeah.
Most definitely do that. I think the easiest thing, the best thing that we got through this process, our pastor preached a sermon, and it was, this is not that.
Yeah.
And so we have to remind ourselves that as much as it feels like the other pregnancies, this is not that. And that shifts us a lot.
Yeah.
So
They're similar, they're not the same.
right. So for anyone who's had losses, get whatever help you feel you need, because it really is a strain on your mental,
Yeah.
like real talk, and it can be a strain on your marriage. And it's just hard to deal with physically and emotionally. So keep your head up, keep trying if that's what you choose to do. And if not, no, that's okay as well. Just, you know, don't feel pressure from anybody to feel like you have to have
X,
or
Y, and Z,
not have
yeah.
or whatever the case may be. Just do what's best for you. So that's all I gotta say.